let's be professional, because I've been genuinely upset by the lack of professionalism that I have seen on the Twitter timeline as of late, especially regarding the Palestine-Israel wars. And as a professional, even though I am seen as a beacon of intellect and knowledge, quite rightly, I'm also professional enough to understand when I don't understand everything. And the Middle East is an extremely complicated topic. Now, I understand the basics. I understand the 1967 borders. I understand the religious divides. I understand the holy sites. I understand there's some very interesting information about a pipeline which was tried to run through Syria, and they destabilized Syria on purpose to try and control oil and energy like it's always been about, because the world is always about money and power. I understand all of these things. But do I feel like I understand the entire conflict at a deep enough level to have a true, strong path towards peace? Do I understand every faction? Do I understand the differences between them all? Do I understand life on the ground? No. So let's talk in certainties. As a professional, I talk in certainties. It is certain that civilians will die. It is certain that children will starve. It is certain that there are people who know more than us behind the shadows who are orchestrating certain actions with very little regard for human life.
As always.
As always. It is certain that it is a chessboard, just like we have right here. And any capable chess player is prepared for a pawn to die if it allows them to win the game. That's what I do when I play chess. So the people who are in charge of the world do. It is also pretty clear to me that when anybody is instantly and absolutely galvanized into encouraging the genocide of any other nation or peoples, they have fallen deeply into a psyop. So when we look at the right-wing American freethinkers, let's look at our friend Mr. Peterson, who's not a fan of ours, and I look forward to speaking to him one day. But when he says, give them hell,
Netanyahu,
give them hell, you are trying to advocate the genocide of millions of people.
pawns who do not move pieces on the chessboard.
They have no power.
Innocent people who are just trying to go about and live their lives because somebody else has made a move on the board.
Is that fair to the person who gets bombed and loses their family? No. Same on the other side. The average Israeli, the average person who's living in a border town who gets shot, pawns on the chessboard. I'm smart enough to look at this situation and understand what's really happening, which is that I don't know, and none of the people with strong opinions truly know. I'm not going to lie. I do find it extremely suspicious that the most feared intelligence agency on Earth didn't manage to detect an invasion.
On the 50th anniversary of another famous invasion.
It does seem a bit weird. Like, I'm sure if you were to take a remote control car, which could be a drone or a bomb, and try and drive it towards an Israeli checkpoint or the border, they would detect it and destroy it. But now we've had 500 pickup trucks full of dudes just burst over the border. That's weird. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm highlighting that it's very strange. Now, once again, let's go back to my original assumptions. Let's say that it's a big chess game. And let's say a gap has been left. A pawn has been left to hang so that when it dies, you can fork your opponent. Very common in chess. Makes more sense to me than the fact that Mossad failed to detect an entire invasion. I don't know. Let's also talk uncertainties. War, destruction, and uncertainty always leads to stricter controls from the regime. Always. Always come along and they take away your safety. Sorry, they take away your, let me apologize.
Freedom?
They always come along and take away your freedom to guarantee your safety. So perhaps, and we don't have to look at Palestine, Israel. We don't have to look at Ukraine, Russia. We can look anywhere. If a regime wanted more power over its citizens, the easiest way to do that would be to orchestrate an unsafe environment purposefully. They would purposefully make sure the society was not safe so they could come along with the solution. You make society sick so you can give it the medicine. I'm only talking in certainties. These are all certain facts that I know. And when you add all these things up and then you start to look at nearly any conflict on earth, you become pretty anti-war. And I find it extremely asinine and quite childish, hypocritical, and also disingenuous that people like Peterson will call for the genocide and call for war when truthfully, he would hate to be anywhere near a war. Jordan Peterson is not a soldier, and he's not capable of being a soldier. For him to sit and try and advocate destruction when he himself can't handle Twitter haters and needs absolute peace of mind, let alone peace of physicality, to sleep at night without drugs, I find that quite disingenuous. I also find it very short-sighted. So when I see all these people choosing sides, calling for the absolute destruction of the other, saying this team's completely wrong, that team's completely wrong, to me it's all just a huge psyop. Because let me tell you something about the world. Only in movies is there a good guy and a bad guy. You could sit here and display to me an extremely concise, compendious, and compelling argument that Israel are the good guys and that Hamas/Palestine/Gaza, whatever, are committing war crimes and doing bad things. You could also do the absolute same thing in reverse.
Yes.
There are no good guys and bad guys. It's gray. It's not black and white. It's a mess. And how that mess is solved, I don't know enough about the conflict to answer. What I do know is that children will starve and that we can try our best to stop that happening, which is why we're donating money. That is my view on the war. I'm going to do my best to stop as many children from going hungry as possible. That's my political view. Andrew's political view on the war is he doesn't want children to be hungry.
Yeah.
That is it. And I think anyone else who comes along with such short-sighted, infantile blanket statements doesn't understand the world enough and doesn't understand conflict or violence enough to understand why all this is happening and doesn't understand global politics enough to understand that if it allows you to win the game with checkmate, you'll sacrifice a pawn. You will sacrifice soldiers. You'll sacrifice people on a border town. You'll sacrifice people in a pickup truck. You'll sacrifice them if it's for the good of the game. They may not know what's going on, but certain people do. And I think a lot of people need to actually sit here and critically analyze